Around 2500 BCE, humanity produced a sprawling, highly engineered metropolis. At its peak, Mohenjo-daro covered hundreds of acres and housed tens of thousands of citizens. Even by modern standards, the urban planning is striking. The entire city was laid out on a strict mathematical grid, constructed from standardized, kiln-baked bricks. They mastered water management long before the Romans, building complex sewer systems beneath the streets, and massive public pools, like the Great Bath, sealed with waterproof bitumen. Contemporary empires in Egypt and Mesopotamia spent their wealth erecting grand palaces and monuments to absolute monarchs. Mohenjo-daro built none of those. Excavators have never found a single weapon of war. Instead, the material record is filled with standardized weights for commerce, intricate seals, and terracotta deities, pointing to a society built on trade, art, and religion. For hundreds of years, this city thrived as an ancient utopia, challenging the historical assumption that early mega-empires required monarchical rule. Then it emptied out. Today, the streets are silent. 40,000 citizens walked away from a functioning metropolis, leaving it to the dust. For decades, historians suggested the city was slaughtered by invaders, yet excavations have produced no mass graves or signs of battlefield violence. Others assumed a natural disaster or a catastrophic fire, but the soil strata shows no ruined ash layer covering the final years. The city wasn't murdered. It wasn't burned to the ground. It simply stopped functioning. If it wasn't a conquering army or a fiery apocalypse, what invisible force could end the greatest city on Earth? The forces that ended Mohenjo-daro were operating beneath the valley floor and high in the atmosphere. It was a collision of shifting tectonic plates and a changing global climate. Deep below the region, intense tectonic friction began to alter the landscape. The valley floor physically tilted over a period of decades. This slow geological uplift forced the mighty Indus River, the lifeblood of the city's agriculture and trade, to change its course, migrating miles away from Mohenjo-daro's ports. Simultaneously, the region suffered a secondary climatic blow. Global weather patterns shifted the annual monsoons eastward, depriving the surrounding agricultural hinterland of crucial rainfall. Mohenjo-daro didn't lose a war against humans. It lost its connection to flowing water. We can trace the collapse through the ruins. Without the river and the rain, the agricultural surplus dwindled. As food became scarce, the city's trade networks dried up. Next came the physical civic breakdown. In the uppermost archaeological layers, wide grid streets are choked by shoddily built subdivided walls. As resources vanished, the remaining populations scrambled to live in smaller, fortified spaces. Then the sanitation infrastructure failed. Without the heavy river flow, the highly engineered flush toilets and stone-capped street drains clogged. The densely packed brick environment baked in the sun. With raw sewage backing up and no clean water, the city became unlivable. The population wasn't wiped out in a single dramatic event. They simply packed up their lives and began a gradual migration eastward, seeking the wetter environment of the Ganges Basin. Left behind, the master-planned streets fell silent. Over the centuries, the sprawling brick structures were swallowed by wind and creeping desert sand. For nearly 4,000 years, humanity forgot that this pinnacle of ancient engineering had ever existed. The story of its silent, nonviolent descent remained buried until archaeological excavations unearthed the grid walls in the 1920s. Mohenjo-daro contains no mass of victims. Instead, it is a record of a forced climate migration that spanned decades. Mohenjo-daro proves that civilization-ending threats do not require invading armies or plagues. It demonstrates that peaceful, technologically advanced societies remain connected to their local environment. When the rain stops and the rivers move, the city dies. Today, contemporary megacities face shifting climates, rising sea levels, and drying river basins. Millions of people are currently navigating the exact environmental pressures that triggered the ancient exodus. The silent descent of Mohenjo-daro provides a template for our own urban centers. These ruins show how fragile our modern marvels become when nature shifts its balance.